All right, land investors and outdoor enthusiasts, this is Josh with usrecland.com. Today, we're going to do how to buy land and give you some resources and tools when you're researching properties, kind of help you out. And the good news is that all of this takes advantage of my favorite four-letter word. That's free. All right. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our website, usrecland.com. The folks that subscribe to the website get exclusive discount deals, bundle deals, flash sales, waived fees, etc. So definitely sign up for the website. And then also, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and click the notification bell. That way you're immediately notified of new videos hot off the presses, just like this one. Everybody seems to like the video overview because you can just kind of download it passively, let it run and kind of get the information that way. So we'll keep doing it. All right, what we're doing today, we just want to go over basically some basic fundamentals, how to buy land, and give you some tools and just kind of try to make the process a little easier, especially for folks that quote unquote have never bought land before, or buying land isn't something I understand. So let's just try to simplify it a little bit, but at the same time give you some tools and let you know what things to look for. All right, I'm going to use this property just as an example, just to kind of give you the layout. So this is the website. On our website, it shows you the county and the state, but this number right here, this is your parcel number. That's the number that you're going to reference when you contact the county. And yes, we highly recommend that you contact the county, give them your vision for the property, what you'd like to do with it, how you'd like to use the property, any buildings you'd like to build, if you're going to go off-grid or develop it further with utilities in the area, if they are in the area, that might be a question for you. But definitely utilize the parcel number. That's your reference number if you call Apache County. So you'll need to call the county for very specifics. So let's go down here. So we'll come back up to Google Maps. Those of you that have subscribed before, you've seen our Google Maps, but I'll come back to the Google Maps. We'll just kind of go through the anatomy of the information. So here's the parcel number again for you. Again, you need that for reference when you contact the county. Let them know what parcel of reference that you're calling about and that you're interested in purchasing it. And then you might already have a short checklist of questions for them. Just kind of give them your vision for the property, what you'd like to use the property for, what buildings you'd like to build, those kind of things. And then they can start to give you more details about the county's zoning and regulations. And like I said, those change very often. So you definitely want to contact the county directly. City, Concho, county, self-explanatory, the legal description and your legal access. That's your legal access to the property. And taxes, you're going to want to have an idea of taxes. Usually vacant land is really cheap, so it's not typically a deal breaker, but just to kind of know, you know, you might want to double check that with the county. But I mean, all of our information is directly from the county. So we contacted the county, so everything on here is from a phone call with the county or the information on the county website. We can't do any better than that for you. So the taxes, you definitely want to know, but just something to keep in mind for you folks that are buying vacant land to develop it. I talked to a lot of people and not sure why, but it's a surprise that when they build something on there, it's called an improvement to the property and they put a home or a pole barn or something, and then the county increases their property tax. Well, as the property value goes up, which it will go up with an improvement, aka a home, a tiny home, a mobile home, a shed, you know, those things are called, that improves the property and increases the value, therefore the property tax goes up. So just keep that in mind when you're purchasing properties to develop, or you're moving out of state to a new property. the taxes are going to go up, but again, usually it's so low with vacant land that you probably can get a pretty decent rate if you have a new build and the new build's not too substantial. Now, this one's important. Zoning is important. And again, this is from the county. Okay. But we still want you to call. We highly recommend it. Unfortunately, the county can be inconsistent with information. So we want you to call, but this is important to you. This is probably one of the most important factors because depending on what you're purchasing a property for, which you should already know before you start purchasing land, by the way, you need to know if just the basic functions that you want for the property are allowable. So like this one is agricultural. That's a broader zoning category than residential. So you can still build on it. I don't want you to get the idea that, oh, it's agricultural. These aren't mono categories where the zoning is just that thing. Agricultural, you can still build a home on it. Okay. And instead of going in the weeds to the why and how, just accept that. All right. So on this particular one, it's zoned agricultural, which means you're going to have a little bit broadened zoning category with what's available to you to do on the property than just even a typical residential category. But you can also build on it. So yes, you can build a home, tiny home, just has to be over 300 square foot. I mean, that's basically an outhouse. You're going to build something bigger than that anyway. So that's not a difficult minimum requirement to fulfill. Manufactured homes are allowed and mobile homes are allowed, but the mobile home has to be less than 15 years old. And they allow you to live in an RV while you're building or developing the property for 90 days, but you'll need to contact the county. They usually require you to pay them for a permit to get that allowable temporarily while you're building or developing the property. Because if you get a mobile home, you're just kind of setting the site for the mobile home to be dropped in. So, all right. So zoning's pretty important depending on how you're using the property. If you want recreational property, agricultural, residential, if you want to stay in your RV, usually 90 to 180 days is usually the limit for most properties. And even then, as it states here, it's tied to a commitment to further develop the property to get the permit. If you just wanted to stay in your RV for 90 days or 180 days at time, they may not allow that. Again, you'll need to contact the county depending on what all the details of your specific vision for the type of land that you're looking to purchase. That way they can give you some of the deal breakers that might pop up for you. All right. But there are properties that are RV living. So some of you that have seen our videos and listings before, we try to deliver those to you because we know a lot of folks are looking for full-time RV living lots, and not every county allows that. Not every lot is allowable for that. So those are a little bit more difficult to find. But if that's what you're looking for, just make sure you check out the zoning on that property, call the county, give them the parcel number, and make that one of the main items on your checklist, and do it from a top down. Most important, meaning the first question, if there's a no-go, I don't even need to ask the other questions. I move on to a different property. Make your life easy. All right. And then utilities, probably the second most important thing here is getting an idea if you do want to improve the property and put a building on it, and you don't have a plan for off-grid or alternative solutions, then you have to see if there's city water, city sewer. And if there's no city water or city sewer anywhere in the vicinity, you're on your own, rural, which is no big deal. But you just have to get a well and a septic dug. And that is a little bit of a process. You want to make sure if you're buying a property and it's in a rural area, it most likely doesn't have city water and sewer. So you're going to have the additional expense of the well and septic. However, the good news about the well and septic is once you have it installed, you're not going to have a water bill or a sewer bill. So just think of it that way. if it takes the hurt out a little bit anyway. But all across the nation, there's different climates and things, and water isn't always exactly available. So sometimes they need to bring a truck in, like this one's in Arizona. These are very rural lots. They're in desert and high Sierra areas that don't have a lot of water. They don't have city water running out there. There's no city sewer. It's not high density populations with homes and things where if you buy a vacant lot on the corner, you can just extend from the next home. So you're on alternative power out here as an example, but that's just to give you an idea. So definitely find out, is there power at the street? Do I have city water and city sewer available? If the answers are no, now I'm looking at well and septic. If there's no power at the street, it might not be in front of the home, but it might be down the street, or maybe it's available at the other side of the next lot. You're going to want to have an idea how far you have to go down the street to connect to power. And that's a question you'll have to ask the county. Where is the nearest connection hub for the utility grid as it stands in reference to my lot? Is it 8 feet down the road? Is it 12 feet? Because there's going to be added costs to bring that to the front of your property, to bring that power at the pole and things. And then you might have other expenses, permits and things with the county as well. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of go through the anatomy of a listing, give you an idea what you're looking for. This is just kind of the basics, where, what, that kind of stuff. I'm going to make a mental note of the taxes. Your bread and butter is right here, because this is where we start getting into the nitty gritty. I want to have a property that I can put a mobile home on, and I want to have, power, and I don't want to mess with a well or a septic getting installed. So I have to have city sewer and city water. Okay, now you're narrowing down your search, and you can eliminate properties, and you can create a list of properties that you can kind of sift through and vet them with all of your criteria, which ones you like. But those two are very, very important. And again, you definitely want to make a phone call to get all of the additional details surrounding both of these, and including the entire lot. Okay. We assume when you move forward with a property that you've already completed your due diligence, and that's what this whole process of reviewing and gaining information and vetting the information, that's part of your due diligence just as a consumer. All right, so again, you got a parcel number here. That's your reference number when you contact the county. Parcel number here, your acreage, city, county, legal description, which is just part of that's just the additional description of the parcel number to put its exact location on the earth's surface for you, if you will. Legal access. So if there's multiple roads around the edge of the property, it'll tell you which road is technically your legal access. So when you build a driveway, you put your driveway in the proper place. Road type, lot description. So you want to know your taxes as well. All right. So we've exhausted that. So most listings have photos. You can go through the photos, and usually the photo set will include, the real photos of the area, and they'll give you, some nice views of the property, and then you'll get some aerial photos so you can kind of see the outline of the parcel, see the surrounding area. There's a home. So remember, we were talking about legal access. So see how this is a corner lot. We've got 5103 here and 5101. Well, I want to know where my legal access is, because that will dictate where I'm going to have entry to my parcel. And then if my legal access per the county on this parcel is 5101, I certainly don't want to build a driveway to 5103. So we want to understand what our legal access is. Okay. But most land companies will have some still photos for you. So that can give you like a quick glance idea of the property. You can kind of see the topography. Some of these are just Google Map pins, Google Satellite, Google Earth. And the good thing about this is not only can you use the Google Map coordinates for a virtual review for free, my favorite word. So anything we're talking about today doesn't cost any money. Not only can you do that, but you can also use them once you put a pin on Google Maps on your phone. You can use it for driving directions from your location if you are in the area and want to go view the property. So it has a double utility for you. So let's go ahead and take a look. So here's the pin. You can see. So the good thing about this, so what I'm looking for, I'm looking at the land and I'm seeing what roads and seeing what my access looks like. I want to know if I have some neighbors, how close they are. So, and what's nice about Google Satellite is these are real images. So I can kind of see, okay, there's a little compound here, a little home, maybe even an in-law suite in the back here. And we can toggle around, north, south, east, west to see, how many neighbors do we have? Here's another home. There's another area. And let's see who's to our east. It jumps up here. There's a home right there. Who's to the south of us? Here's a home right here. So wide open spaces on this. There's another home. By the way, this property actually is currently for sale. So if you're interested in this, this is in Concho, Arizona, and it is an acre of 0.04, so a little over an acre. And it is an agricultural lot, but you can build a home, tiny home, manufactured mobile homes. So at any rate, this video isn't to pitch you, just letting you know that if you particularly like this and this is an area of interest to you, that this lot itself, and actually we have 3 other lots in the general area as well, similar lots right around an acre. If you want a bundle pack, let us know. So we got Google, and you can put it in Google Maps, Google Earth, and you can pin the property and you can look around, and then you can expand out and start to see what's in the immediate surrounding area. So it's a nice virtual review of the area. You can start to see some topography and things, see if there's mountains, lakes, streams, rivers, see where the closest highway is. We've got 61 over here. And then Google Maps actually does a pretty good job labeling different places of interest, I guess, for a general term, I'd call it. Like a lot of conservancies, national forests, just things like that. They do a pretty good job of labeling that for you. And then again, there's Concho proper. 61 is the main highway off to your west, northwest here. And then we can keep going out and kind of see where we at. So St. John's, Show Low, Snowflake, and we got here Fort Apache, Apache Sitgreaves National Forest, and yeah, so you can look around. And then again, like I said, you can utilize these coordinates after maybe you looked at the desktop at home and you're convinced that this property might be a good purchase for you. You can just keep these coordinates and just go right here and click driving. Now you would do this on your mobile phone, but just click the driving directions and just use your home as the starting point, or wherever you're at. Your phone will actually triangulate your location if you're out and about in the car already, and just plug these in and hit driving directions. Just make sure it's on car and not walk. It'll seem like it's a lot farther away than it really is, or biking. Just make sure it's on driving, so that'll give you the right route. Okay, so that's helpful too for you guys while you're vetting properties. There are other resources out there. Another one you're going to want to look at, maybe not for this property, Arizona, you don't have to worry about it, but you can check the National Wetlands Registry for Wetland Maps. And if you haven't yet, check out my video on Wetland Maps. Wetlands is not necessarily a bad word. In fact, depending on a lot of what you guys are looking for, you actually want a wetland. You want it. You just don't know it. There's just not a lot of information around. wetlands, because it gets pretty scientific and technical. And a lot of people get scared on looking at a wetland map and they have no reason to. They don't understand exactly how the map was designed to understand whether it's impactful or not. And it could be. So you definitely want to have that as part of your comprehensive review. But usually the land company, and we do it, it'll tell you if there are wetlands on the property. One of the things we've already checked, which there obviously are none here in Arizona. No wetlands, no flood zone. That's also on there's a national flood map. You can get access to that too. Again, all this is free. The national flood map, the wetlands map is pretty simple, but I will tell you the flood map, there's a lot of options. And if you're not computer savvy, or rather application savvy, might be a little difficult to navigate. And if that's the case, don't spend too much time. Just make that one of the questions for the county on the flood zone. And again, now there's declensions of flood zones. Don't get too afraid of that. So almost the same applies to the wetland versus the flood zone, because if you're in a 100-year flood zone, it may or may not flood in 100 years. It's likely, but that doesn't mean it will happen, right? And if the further out you are from that natural drainage in that flood zone, the less and less likely it is. So just because you're in a flood zone doesn't mean you have anything to worry about. One thing to look for, honestly, is if there's a lot of homes in the area. They've already kind of cleared the path for you, if you will. All right. Because if there's a bunch of houses in the area, or maybe just a handful of homes, they had to go through that same process already for you. So if it was such a big concern, they probably weren't going to build their house. So if I've got a lot right here and I've got two houses here, again, this is Arizona, but let's say it's in a state with a little bit more precipitation and standing water, you might have some issues if you were in a different state. But since there's homes right here, I gotta take into consideration most folks, the biggest purchase of their life is their home, and they're not going to put that in danger just to say, well, if it floods in 5 years, okay, you know. But just know that there's tools out there. You can check the National Wetlands Map and the National Flood Map if you're savvy like that, or just ask the county. For your purposes, just take a look around. Be sure to back out and see the surrounding areas. And also too, on this map, there isn't a lot out here. This is a very rural off-grid lot. But a lot of times it'll show you Walmart, where the closest airport is, where the hospital is, where maybe your favorite restaurant. I mean, a lot of that gives you a good idea of the area, if it's a place that you'd really enjoy living, if you're moving there, or maybe even it's a vacation spot. There's wineries in the area. Again, Google Maps actually does a great job. I mean, there are other things out there that are a little more sophisticated, but just for your purposes, for simplicity's sake, to start gathering some of the basics to get enough information to purchase, you could be very, very dangerous with Google Maps, satellite, Google Earth, the Wetlands Registry, the Flood Registry, maybe even just Google itself, depending on what specific questions, because a lot of folks have it's just infinite, the different items that they want for a property that could be the deal breaker. Something that you have on your checklist for your property purchase, for your buying criteria, it could be on the property I'm buying and I could care less, but for you, it's a deal breaker. So it's a very personal, very specific process, because you want to be happy with that property for decades to come. All right. So definitely get used to this. If you're buying land, it's not going to take that long. If you jump into Google Maps, get comfortable with it, and just log into the National Wetlands and the FEMA site, and just look around, nose around, and see, okay, I can put the parcel or the address, if there is an address. Vacant land typically doesn't have an address, but sometimes there is an address associated with it. But Just wanted to show you guys that. All right, so you want to definitely do your homework, but I'll also say this, make haste, get it done. Land is not like purchasing homes, and I can't tell you how many folks have been upset because they didn't understand the process, and they thought that once they signed paperwork, they were going to have like 5 years and a day to get a bunch of people involved to figure it out. That's not how land works. Land goes quick, especially with cash buyers. And that's what we typically deal with. We don't offer owner financing. Even with owner financing, yeah, this isn't a home mortgage process with a home that has a number of regulations and red tape on it. So you have to be ready so you don't lose the dream property, because there's other folks that are very savvy and they do know, and they will get on a property, get the information quickly, and they're on it. So I don't want you to lose a property just because you didn't know. So that's the reason for this video, is to try to educate everyone and kind of give them up to speed to where they can at least do a preliminary review, answer as many of their own questions as possible without even calling the county. And then that way you can have a very focused conversation with the county with your remaining 3 to 5 questions and get some specifics. And they'll probably end up giving you a few more pieces of information that are good to know, or maybe solve some other problems for you and help you with that. For example, they might say, we have referral partners for utilities and things. If you're buying the property to build on it, we'd be happy to send it to you if you're out of state, which would be helpful if I was out of state. I'm not in the area. I don't know the reputable names. I might want that. All right. So again, use the tools, go through here, through your checklist, depending on your utility and your vision for the property. And when I say vision, it might be well beyond whether there's a home on it or not. Maybe you want to have a homestead. Maybe you want to have chickens. Well, how many do you want to have? Do you want to have cattle? How many do you want to have? Because even though it's agriculturally zoned, they might have a limit because you're not a commercial farmer and it's not zoned for large agricultural. Even within a category, there are declensions of residential, declensions of agricultural. So just be cognizant of that when you call, and make sure you run by anything above and beyond. Like once you figure out the building and you explain what you want to do and they give you the thumbs up and say, yep, we allow that type of building, you would have to get a building permit, make sure there's access. And if you get utilities, you're going to have to get this permit and that. Anything beyond that in terms of what you want to do with the property, if you want to sell, if you want to have a beekeeping business and sell honey at the street, run that by them, because that way they can give you the yay or nay, or sometimes the answer isn't necessarily nay, it's somewhere in between. And then they tell you how to navigate it to fulfill any requirements they might have so that you can accomplish your end goal. Sometimes it's just not as simple as getting a yes or no. Sometimes it's a permit or a little bit of work or something that needs done at the property where they would say, as long as you do that, you're good. You could still move forward. So be sure to ask about all of those specific things. Okay. And I'm saying this also, if you have a realtor, please ask the county. Do not rely on your realtor. And also too, most land companies you have to understand something. People are very wary about scams online, but you have to understand most land companies want to have consecutive sales. If they've taken the time to get an LLC or a corporation and they have a whole web page of land, they don't want to scam anyone because they want to continue to sell land because they're making money at it. So I want you to understand that. There's just too many people on the internet that call scam, and you can't convince them. You can send them your EIN and all this stuff. Oh, you could have made that. Well, did you buy from Amazon yesterday? Yeah, I spent about $300 on Amazon, all kind of stuff. Do you have their EIN? Oh, well, they're more reputable, right? I got news for you. There's bigger crooks in big retailers than there is in small business, but I digress. All right. Now, Also, we have the website for YouTube. And for you folks that are looking in certain states, what might be more convenient on YouTube, you can always see the new listings in order. So if you go to videos, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And you can kind of see the videos in order, left to right, all new stuff. But what might be helpful if you're looking in, let's say, Arizona, and that's just one of your states that you're paying attention to because you're thinking about buying land there. Well, you can go to the Arizona list, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. And you can go to the Arizona. Now, if you'll notice here, and this, if for you folks that already understand YouTube, this isn't for you, you already know, but this isn't in any order per se. So this video from July, this property's gone, but you can look over here to see as a quick, excuse me, at a quick glance, you can see what's available to see what might pique your interest. I'm looking for something at least over a half acre. Okay, that's not, 0.83 for 2,000. Oh, wow, what's that one? And you want definitely verify that with the, okay. And make that checklist. What all do you want to do with the property? That way, once you know what your vision is for the property, and it has to be pretty detailed, because you need to go through a checklist to be able to verify that everything that you want to accomplish there will be unhindered to do so. Then also too, make sure that you have an understanding of what it will, the energy, time, and resources that will be required to develop raw vacant land. Utility connections, the homes themselves, the mobile home, modular home, or building a home, you have a lot more capital that will be invested in that property well beyond the land. So make sure you understand when you're purchasing the land, what other expenses you still have yet to finalize, including the building itself. Make sure you have an idea what that mobile home is going to cost you and what you're willing to spend. Make sure you have an idea what their permit costs are. And again, you'll get this when you call the county with the parcel number and ask them, tell them what you're doing and ask them questions about that. But, you know, you'll want to know if I need to put a well and septic, what am I looking at? And those things have different costs in different areas in different parts of the country, even within the same town. If they only need to go 50 feet versus 250 feet, obviously it's going to be cheaper. And you'll definitely want to make sure that you have an idea of a budget. It doesn't have to be to the penny, but you'll need to understand if you're buying a property for 15K, that you might have another 25K wrapped up in the well and sewer. And I'm just throwing that number out there. So yes, I understand that you can get that done a lot cheaper in other areas. Also too, you can be resourceful if you know a guy. I understand that as well. I'm just throwing out general information for folks as if they've never purchased land before to give them an idea. But just be prepared. If you're buying land, raw vacant land to develop, you're going to have a series of expenses to get to that final product where there's a home with utilities, the land's cleared, there's a driveway, and anything else that you want to do with that property. So just make sure that you understand what you're buying it for, and make sure that you get all of those answers before you move forward. So that way you're going to be happy with that property for life. And who knows, you might pass that property on and it stays in your family lineage for 100 years, 200 years. And there's stories told about yourself or or your children or someone along the line at least that you started, and that property stays in the family. That still happens, folks. It still happens. And it's a great thing to have property and land and assets that can go down a generation and actually mean something to the next generation. All right. Well, hopefully this helps just to give you a little more insight on how to make your life easy if you're looking at land and you've never really looked at land and don't know where to start. Just get an idea of your acreage, your price range, what you're looking for, what you'd like to do. Make sure the zoning matches up with what you'd like to do. Make sure get a good feel for the utilities, if there are any in the area, how much that's going to cost. Get an idea on the national wetlands map, the flood map. Use Google Maps, use Google Earth, Google Satellite. Use that to your advantage. Also, use the county auditor website. You can get a lot of information because you have the parcel. It's public information, so you're not intruding on anyone. So if they tell you you are, don't worry about it. You're not. It's public information for a reason. You can take that parcel number, go to the Apache County Auditor's website, Google it, and once you get in there, find the parcel search and put that in there, and then hopefully you can find it. You can pull up, see if the taxes are behind, see who the owner is, see the valuations of the land, which don't really mean anything, but get just all the information you can gather to see what's going to work for you. But so we deliberately have everything in order for you. Here's the location, Google. You would want the street view. That's your frontage pin. In this case, they had all four corners, but parcel number, acreage, city, county, legal description, legal access, which is where you would have your drive, taxes, and then zoning and utilities, and what it would most likely be. This part right here is very important. And then get on Google Maps, look around, see where the nearest airport, especially if it's going to be a snowbird type or vacation seasonal property where you're just going to go down in the winter. See where the nearest airport is. Is there Walmart, in the area to pick up groceries on the way in? Are there lakes in the area, streams, rivers? If you're kayaking, if you're doing it, check out the whole area, because a lot of times when you do a full investigation, by doing that, the you make a better decision on the property that's best for you and your family. All right. Well, hope this helps. Didn't mean to make it this long for you, but just trying to give you some free info just to get started buying land or for your vacation property, or if you're starting a land investing portfolio. We got you. Give us a call. But please subscribe to the website, usrecland.com. Then also please subscribe to this YouTube channel, click the notification bell. And then also too, for all of you guys that have purchased before, if you don't mind, please give us a Google review. We appreciate it. And also anyone that's looking to purchase, feel free to check out our Google reviews. All right, guys, thanks a lot and happy land investing.